Um, Great. Well, it is now 4:30, so we can call the meeting of the Shelburne Select Board to order. It says 4:30 on my clock, Rick, so I'm going with that. You can take that up with Google or whoever it is that runs my computer.
Good one.
Um, so yeah, so we'll call the meeting to order. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes of July 13th?
Yes, I have.
Yes,
Great. Any changes?
None.
none for me.
Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. There's no further discussion. We'll call to a vote. All in favor, Rod,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Andrew is aye, and the motion carries unanimously. Um, we have our first appointment at 5:45, so we can go ahead to the liaison reports while we're waiting for that time to come to elapse. Rick, do you have any liaison updates?
Indeed, I do. Um, After our last meeting, we realized that Rod was not going to be able to make it to the West County Regional Emergency Medical Services Study Group meeting. I had been to the very first one over a year ago, so I did go ahead and attend in Rod's place. Um, the bottom line is the emergency medical services um, as an industry is non-sustainable. This group was formed, including members from select boards, town administrators, finance committees of all the West County towns. They've been meeting regularly. Um,
I'm sorry, Rick, can you back up a step and say, what is it that's not sustainable?
Emergency medical services as they now are.
Oh,
Basically,
just in general, you mean, not, or in our region, or what are we talking about here?
apparently across the entire country. Our fire chief, John Taylor, last week sent us all a link to information about that was broad in scope. But it is a national problem. This
Okay.
group is trying to find a way to make it sustainable going forward. I guess the biggest reason is that formerly ambulances survived on volunteers. And now, like similarly happened with police, you can't be on an ambulance unless you're fully 100% trained to be a full-time ambulance medic. So the sustainability is not there. And this group has been studying all different options. Currently, they've got a proposal that they brought forward at the meeting I was at with a good, better, best column. Um, Within that, they went around and figured out that let's start with the good, not shoot for the sky, try to get something we think we could live with. There are 7 model options within that, within all the columns, the good, better, and the best, which was the level of services and the amount of hours per day the services would be. Shelburne's numbers were 182,000 to 544,000. And I about had a heart attack. So one of the things that was curious was it said
Wait a minute, Rick, back me up in one more step again. Sorry. Our numbers for what?
for the first year to get it established.
Oh, the cost
Mhm.
is 182,000 or what?
There were 7 models. The cheapest
Oh,
model was 182,000 would be our share. The most expensive model was 544,000 our share. So what they're trying to do is narrow this down and come prepare a document to present to all the select boards in the region to initiate a discussion. But what caught my attention was Shelburne's share was listed as Shelburne parentheses village area or village included. So I asked them why Buckland didn't say village included. And they looked at each other. These are people from the Franklin Regional Council of Governments. And the answer was, well, that's 01370. And I said, well, 01370 includes part of eastern Charlemont, part of eastern Heath, all of Shelburne, and the major population area of Buckland. And they went, oh. So I'm hoping our numbers were grossly inflated there. And they promised me they'd put together a new study to try and break that out further to come up with more legitimate numbers before their next meeting, which Rod has already confirmed he will be able to do, which is August 19th. So that's basically it in a nutshell for that meeting. Any other questions on that particular one? I know it's a lot to absorb, but I thought I'd give you a thumbnail version of where this process is at.
And this is to establish a regional EMS service sort of similar to what exists in the rural Hampshire County?
Mhm. Yep.
And was there any discussion about rural Hampshire County's
Yes,
model
they're
being
represented.
expanded?
They are represented there, yes, in this group.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I don't know how well their model is working, but they do have one.
Correct. And that was the basis of the work that's gone over a year now that they've been working on trying to develop this. So I hadn't seen an update on it since that very first meeting that I attended. So I found it very interesting. A lot of hard work going into it. And when they get their final numbers together, which might be that August meeting, then they'll have something prepared to come to all the select boards in the towns to start a discussion and a dialogue on it.
Good, thank you.
I was also, Andrew, available to cover the meeting that you had asked me to for the Franklin Regional Council of Governments, which you weren't able to make. That happened on July 16th at 5 o'clock. It was a very abbreviated meeting. They did the previous minutes. I wasn't there, you were, so I abstained, but they passed. There was a reorganization, which didn't change anything. There was a brief council chair update, executive committee update, executive director update, personnel committee update on policy revisions, and a brief Franklin Regional Planning Advisory Board update. There was also limited discussion on single payer health care, which this group is advocating for improvements to make healthcare for municipalities in the area more affordable, but that's not fully fleshed out either. So there were no further details on that.
Was there any, I thought there was the other substantive piece of that meeting was a listening session about the pilot program, payment in lieu of taxes.
You are correct, sir. As I
Okay.
said, this was an abbreviated meeting of the Franklin Regional Council of Governments. It started at 5 and ended at 5:25 and adjourned to the first floor of the I keep wanting to say the Conti Center, the Over building in Greenfield. And that adjourned down to a pilot, the Payment in Lieu of Taxes Commission public listening session. And this was a several-hour session that began at 5:30 and was presented by staff from the Executive Office for Administration and Finance for the state, Caroline Elmendorf, I believe is how you pronounce her name, the Deputy Chief of Staff presented. I got a follow-up actually just today where there is links to the slideshow that was presented. I will forward that to you all tomorrow. In a nutshell, the pilot program, payment in lieu of taxes, the structure is for payments from the state to municipalities that host tax-exempt property, helping to partially compensate for local property tax revenue that cannot be collected because the property is exempt from taxation. So the long story and the short story is the goal of this, because these numbers that they currently operate by were established in 2016, they have such a disparity from the eastern to the western parts of the state that the goal of this listening session, and they're having several more around the state, is to come up with feedback and a plan to better equalize the value and equity in this pilot program. And I'll give you a couple quick examples. Suffolk County, it's all done by county. So Suffolk County, as an example, has 178 acres. The payment per acre in lieu of taxes is $4,885. Franklin County, 64,502 acres, $59 an acre is our share. So we have all the precious land that gives them their water and their oxygen, and we get $59 per acre in tax in lieu of, where other places that have basically blacktop cement and homes are getting $3,000, $4,000, up to almost $5,000 per acre for payment in lieu of taxes, and they realize that that's out of whack. So that in a nutshell is the goal of this commission, they're called, I guess. Yeah, the pilot commission of these listening sessions to go ahead and get back to the state officials and develop a plan to try and bring some more equity into the pilot program. As I said, we have they didn't break it out by town, how many town acres we have, but we do have the DCR land is all under that program that is in Shelburne. That part I know. But that's a nutshell of what I drew from that. And if you have any questions, maybe I can remember an answer or have it in front of me.
Well, Rick, I do have one thought about that, which is that it strikes me that the $59 an acre is a useful measure to compare to other similar programs that provide essentially tax subsidies to landowners, like the chapter programs or the APR program. And if we knew what the average tax value per acre that we're getting off of Chapter 61 properties, that might give us a helpful comparative note to advocate around on the pilot program. I don't personally know what that number is, but perhaps our assessors could help us with that if you think that's a useful strategy for talking about equity and fairness with the pilot program.
It was discussed. I don't have anything to document that. My impression was the payment in lieu of taxes covered not only the state-owned property, but was also a factor in the Chapter 61. So I think they're very close, but I don't know that for a fact. As I say, I have a link to the full details of this in an email that I just got thanking me for attending, that I will share with you guys, and we can all dig into it separately. Just for a quick reference, Berkshire County, $47 an acre is their payment. Franklin, as I said, was $59 an acre, and Hampden County was $89 an acre, and Hampshire County is $110 an acre. Those are the four Western Mass counties, and so they're all in that $47 to $110. As you get down to Worcester, you're up in the $300 an acre. Further in, like I said, it starts at $1,000, $3,000, $4,000, and almost $5,000 per acre that they're being paid, and don't have the benefits of the natural resource because it's originally designed for public use. So there is an assessor's formula that they discussed, not the formula itself, but that was one of the components of this process that they're working on. So I think it's early in the stage to be looking at things like what currently we are as a town collecting from Chapter 61, because they don't know what they're going to do yet. This was the second of, I forget, 5 or 6 listening sessions. So they're still developing a plan, incorporating input from people like us who attended the meeting and shared thoughts on it.
Great, thank you.
Okay. And we're right on the nose for our appointment. I have a quick police liaison report. We can do that after we have our appointments.
Thank you, Rick. I will take that under advisement. Um, being it being 5:45, why don't we move to our first appointment, which is with Tom Manley and Kate Chadwick of the Shelburne Falls Alliance regarding the installation of a satellite dish on the actually, it's the Village Information Center. Tom and Kate, are you here?
I am here.
Yep,
Okay.
we're here.
Great. Fire away.
Okay, so Tom Manley is here as the president of the Village Information Center. I'm here as the coordinator of the Shelburne Falls Alliance. And then also on this call, we have Ted Hanna, who is the co-chair of the Shelburne Falls Alliance. Ted has been the point person when it comes to this project, so I'm going to hand it off to him.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for taking the time. The Shelburne Falls Alliance has a relationship with Chris Graves from Hilltown Networks. For those of you that aren't familiar, Hilltown Networks is a local internet provider. So a lot of us have Verizon, Xfinity, Comcast. There is a local option. They do high-speed wireless internet. I believe the trunk line, they call it, comes into the senior center in town, and it's bounced off one of a few different satellites throughout town to provide service for folks at a very affordable rate with local company support out of Ashfield. There we have a satellite on the McCuskers building. So the Shelburne Falls Alliance wanted to partner with him both because it's a local group. We want to support local, and also because his rates are incredibly reasonable compared to some of the competitors. It's a high-speed wireless internet. I did provide a picture, or Kate provided a picture to Terry. I'm not sure if you've all have had a chance to see it. But in the second image, kind of back from the sidewalk, you will see a stick holding up a 6x6, 6x8 square. That is the satellite. It's about the size of an iPad, a small iPad, and that would need to mount onto the side of the building. We need direct line of sight to the hillside, the Crittenden Hill face of that, to be able to bounce the signal back to that office. What it also potentially provides is a wireless signal that can be shared with the visitors, the Village Information Center, and also Mohawk Concerts, who's in the building. We do have to discuss the financial piece of that because we would be providing to multiple different groups, and Hilltown Networks has to, create a server network. So we would figure that out internally, but we would love your permission to mount that. If you look at the picture, about 3 feet behind it, you'll see the Comcast box, where the phone line, I believe, comes in, or the old internet service, or both. It's about the same size. So we have about 3 feet of latitude. We could go left, right, up, down, about 3 feet. Chris put it in that spot because he thought it would be the least impact to folks walking down those stairs if they wanted to get into the old jail down there. So happy to answer any questions about that whole process.
I'm sorry, Ted, what did you say about going down the stairs?
The location in the photo where it's currently placed, Chris, the internet provider, thought that location would create the least amount of impact to folks going down the stairs.
Okay.
If you were to move it left or down, it would potentially bump your head on it. So he
Okay.
was trying to put it in a place where it wouldn't impact the downstairs.
Great. Are there questions from the board for Ted?
A couple quick ones. Currently, there's no internet service at that location?
It's very limited. We get some service from the library, which is across the street, but it's,
Don't have your own service, though.
yeah.
Okay. And what would the cost be of this to whom?
Currently, the Alliance is taking the entire cost, installation, maintenance, and monthly service fee of that. So there would be no cost to anyone but us.
Okay.
But we're talking about splitting that utilization cost 3 ways, aren't we, Ted?
Correct.
That's all I had for questions. This seems like an innocuous place to put it based on what's already on that wall. Small.
Ted, can you talk about the time frame?
He's ready to go, actually. We had a lot of moving parts when we were getting the office up and running, and we've had some conversations about it. So we kind of thought we had already talked about it, but we apologize that we hadn't. So he's ready to go. As he can get us live in the next week to 2 weeks.
And that would include the Village Information Center?
So that would be a wireless network to the building. We do have to discuss, apparently creating multiple passwords and multiple signals might cost a little bit more than we had originally thought, but the general Wi-Fi to the building, he could get live in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Rod, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Okay. And I'm just curious, Terry, are there any things that we have not thought of or considered in terms of what the town's concern might be about wireless internet? Nothing is coming to my mind.
No, it's certainly within the board's purview to approve this.
Right. No, I'm just wondering if there's any issues with a wireless service that this isn't a service owned by the town. We're just giving permission to attach it to the wall
That's
of the
correct.
town of a building.
Yes.
So any potential liability that might result from a wireless signal being used or misused or whatever would not accrue to the town. It would be with the account holder. Is that correct?
I would assume so, yes.
Okay. Good. Well, I don't have a concern about you attaching this to the wall of the building as long as access to the building is maintained and there's and the place where you've located it, you can actually have a line of sight to the ridge top.
Under a tree. Yep.
Okay.
Very
Good.
specific location. He stood me down there and we had to bend down and kind of look up at the ridge. So yeah, yes, we can do it.
Great. Okay. Well, if there's no further questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the permission to install this satellite service on the Village Information Center wall.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? And hearing none, we'll call to a vote. Rick,
Aye.
Rod,
Aye.
Andrew is aye, and the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ted and Kate and Tom. I hope you get good, reliable, and fast service.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Take care.
Great.
Have a good night.
All right. Well, we've got a few minutes before 6 o'clock, so we can continue with our liaison reports until we reach that moment. Rick?
I can finish up real quick for the police liaison report. We did get a communication from a resident on Route 112 going north past the bridge that goes over to the transfer station. I said north, I think that's right. Where people are parking now to go down into the river and work their way down to what we call Sunburn Beach. It was a complaint about vehicles being parked on the river side of that with supposedly wheels or body parts into the roadway itself. So that was brought to the attention of the police department. They were well aware of it. There is no enforceable action for them because it's a state road and the signs for no parking are on the other side of the road. So if they park on the other side of the road, then there's enforcement ability. On the side of
You're
the
talking about on 112 north of the bridge where there's a little pull-off area.
correct.
Yeah, I see a lot of fishermen who park there.
Yep, at different times of the year, but now it's
Yeah.
a lot of people and they're leaving bags of trash and because of how they got posted in the Charlemont side where people would walk through those folks' pasture down to Sunburn Beach. Now they've just moved up 112, go down to the river and walk down to Sunburn. But the police are aware of it. They're patrolling regularly. If there's a vehicle parked on that side that is projected into the blacktop of the highway, then they can take action. But there's nothing they can do about the number of cars that are parking there, which was part of the complaint. So that's it in a nutshell. They are paying attention and patrolling it on, obviously, it's more of a problem on the weekends and certainly on the holidays. So they're aware of it and will keep it posted, but they haven't found anything so far that is enforceable with regard to people parking and obstructing the roadway. That's all I have.
Great, thank you, Rick. Yeah, no, I just my own sense of that is that when I drive by there, it seems like a pull-off. So as long as people are off the road, I don't think it's objectionable for people to park in a pull-off. But if it's part of the state road, but if they're leaving trash around, that is kind of an unfortunate problem. I don't know what the solution is there, but
The chief did say that he could enforce that
yeah,
were they discovering it, but they hadn't so far.
yeah. All right. Rod, do you have any updates?
Highway. Road patching has been completed. The hot box has been returned back to Heath. I guess they're in dire need of their hot box. We're now doing roadside mowing. The contract for the backhoe, I guess now has been signed.
Yes, I signed it today.
Perfect. We're waiting on approval from Concom for our funding for Smead Hill Road. And Jeffson, right now he's purchasing materials. The contract has been approved. We're just waiting on when we can proceed. And Jeff will be unavailable July 30th through August 6th. And I guess there's a sinkhole on South Maple Street in front of House 25 that we're going to have to look into to see what is causing that sinkhole. As of now, I haven't heard what is, but as soon as I find out, I will let everyone know. And that's all I have.
Great. And how's the tree warden business going?
It's going well. We need to find somebody to take this position. I'm told that being an elected position, it has to be a Shelburne resident. So I guess we're going to have to canvass the area and find someone willing to do it.
Have we, Terry, did we post that in the Two Town News or other places?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Hopefully someone replies fairly soon.
And just as a clarification for the person taking the minutes, the backhoe is not a contract, it's a grant application.
Grant, excuse me. Yes.
Yeah. So I guess Mass DOT has grant funding for that sort of thing, which is new and unusual, and
Yes.
be great if we got some.
Yes, we'd love to have that.
Yeah, good. Well, I only have a few small updates, which is the Sewer Commission is having a joint meeting with Buckland on Thursday and I will inquire with them then about a joint meeting around the Pratt and the Arms Library, um, and see if we can get cross river meetings going on our shared projects. Um, the FERCog does have just got a notice today that they will have a workshop or session on cybersecurity, but that's not till October 15th. So if that's an interest, you can mark your calendars. I think Terry probably has that email. Um, and it's now 6 o'clock, so we can move on to our next appointment, which is with the Finance Committee. Uh, can you all unmute yourselves and let us know what you're presenting? I see you're talking about the tech school project and the proposed lighting project.
Start with them.
Well, you want to start with the lighting project?
We'll do that one. That one's quick.
I think Jeff's
Okay.
here. I think Jeff's here, and he isn't, I saw him logged in, I thought.
He is here, yes.
You know, his recommendation now is that we forego the grant on that project and make some simple changes ourselves that will probably save as much, if not more, than what the $15,000 grant was going to save for us.
Congratulations to you, both with Jeff and yourself for how deep you dug into it, going through it. The report that you sent was super comprehensive, made total sense. And the town definitely owes you thanks for calling all that to our attention, because it sure seemed like that accepting that $5,000 grant on a much larger scale job would have been a total waste of money. And so I agree 100% with your report that we should not proceed with applying for that grant.
It was a little disappointing looking at it because when you hire a firm that installs network lighting systems to do an energy audit, what do you think they're going to recommend?
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research into tech school stuff. I
Do we need, before you start, Jason, do we need to vote not to move forward with that grant application? Or can we just say we're not, rip it up and start over?
I don't think it was ever brought to us, so I don't think we need to undo anything.
It was brought to us at a previous meeting.
But we didn't approve it, did we? So I think we just let it lie.
Okay.
Jeff, do you have any further notes before we move on to the next topic?
You might want to just vote to not do it, because we kind of left it ambiguous when I think Andrew wasn't at that last meeting, that you just kind of said we'd vote to explore it more. So I don't know whether that if you want to just kill it, that'd be good.
That's fine. And so Jeff, the short and skinny is that the grant is asking us to do more than is worth the candle.
Yeah, it was just a really a lot of high tech stuff added on to it. Like, so we'd get $5,000 off of a $15,000 proposal, but there was about $7,000 in it that was just high tech stuff that we don't need. I mean, it's like we just need a light switch in a lot of cases. So it just seemed like total overkill. And Jim was really, really helpful. We explored room by room, and Jim was fabulous to work with on it. I'm ready to hire Jim for my energy committee. So
this is Jim. Jim
so
who?
it just, we can do a project on our own, and we'll do a better job of it and a lot cheaper. So.
And this is Jim who?
From the from the finance committee.
Oh, Jim Burnham. Thank you.
Burnham. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Good.
So
Just want to give you appropriate recognition in the minutes there, Jim.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody happy, I will make a motion that we not proceed with the lighting grant at the police station previously discussed.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, Rod,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Andrew's aye, and the motion carries. Thank you, Jeff. That was very helpful, and I hope we can move ahead quickly since we don't have to wait for a grant. Good. All right, keep going, Finance Committee.
I spent a little bit of time doing some research on um, new building versus renovation, which was what was presented at the meeting I was at GCC. I was there, and they have the 8 or so different plans that they were considering. They settled on, I think they called it 8A. As presented, the new building. One of the questions I asked at the meeting was I was concerned about the comparison between new building or renovation proposed, and that MSBA money would not be available for renovations. I spoke 2 different times, sorry about that, to the MSBA to kind of verify that. And still don't have all the real answers, but what they did tell me was that if the towns were to vote down the building, they would have the opportunity to apply for. They can't change what plan they're in. They're accepted into the core program, and they can't, reduce it down with the acceptance they have, but they would have, as she stated, no prejudice to reapply for other grants, which seems like, I went through 4 or 5 years worth of eligible projects. Seems like roofing, windows, doors is kind of always one of the things they do. Boilers and stuff are sometimes available. So potentially they could get some reimbursement on, roofing stuff, but my guess is, many of the other upgrades they needed, like electrical, plumbing, sprinkler systems, as they presented, maybe wouldn't get reimbursement. I did ask for a bunch of documents, and the business manager, Liz Bouchard, sent me some info. Well, probably about 1,500 pages worth of info. And in diving into it, I did see a slightly more detailed version in the preferred schematic report of how they came to their numbers on the renovation projects. I do have some concerns with that. I see a lot of stuff in there that I question whether it's a want or a need. I know that as presented, if they were to do all these renovations, they would trigger bringing the whole building up to code in multiple different ways. And that, being true, I also question whether or not, you would tackle it that way. Electrical seems to be a big issue. You could solve electrical upgrades. There's a trigger at, depending on, I talked to an architect who does schools, and asked him specifically, what is the trigger for code upgrades? And he said, well, it's, 30% of the value of the building in some cases, 50% of the footprint. So I don't know all the answers, but I feel like as presented, when they talk about, 74 million or $105 million worth of upgrades needed to the existing building, a large portion of that are code upgrades that are only triggered if you hit that threshold. So to put a new roof on there doesn't mean you need to insulate the walls. When you dive into the 8 or so pages of in the PSR, the preferred schematic report that pertain to option 1, there's millions of dollars of painting and sheetrock in here, adding 6 inches of spray foam insulation to the exterior walls at the cost of $1 million. Then there's stuff in here like, backboards and, new whiteboards for $160,000 and lockers and I'm not doubting that some of this I don't understand. But when you add up what goes into the 74, the 105, I think a lot of it is because you triggered code upgrades. And then I also wonder what portion is wish lists. And I know they didn't put a lot of effort into this option, because new school is kind of the goal to solve educational needs and everything else, as well as these issues with the building itself. So they didn't delve into this in detail in talking to the business manager when I did. And I get that. And I wasn't at all these meetings, but when I do my quick research, I kind of question, the logic of, a new building is going to cost the towns, $123 million, and the upgrades would cost 126 with the soft cost added in, the 105 plus 23 million in soft costs. I guess I want people to go into it. I left that meeting feeling like, okay, that's it. Like, well, it's kind of a no-brainer, new building, seems like money well spent. And it still could be. I felt, there was a little bit of a sales job going on, and that could absolutely be the right way to go. I am not personally convinced that that is the two options, new building at this price or renovations at this price. There is some other version of those renovations that could happen, and they may be unrealistic and too expensive. And why would you do that? But I haven't had that answered to me yet. I haven't been in front of the right people asking the right questions. I know we have, I think Ryan is with the school, and I don't know that this is the right venue to delve into this too deeply. I guess I'm just saying, as at least one member of the finance committee, I do have some concerns with, the two options as this or that. So that's the research I've done. I do intend to continue on. But I don't know that the answers are even there to be had yet. Another concern I also have is, we're building a building for 600 kids is the proposal. And is that a wish list? I mean, in 2016, there were 488 kids at the school. Now there's 621. Have we really analyzed whether, whether the towns can afford to be having 133 extra students going to the tech school? I'm not saying yes or no. Like, I don't even fully have an opinion on that, but I question whether those numbers of aiming more towards a building that can be in the 450 to 500 kid range, is that more, more advantageous to the local towns? 133 kids more in, from 2016, 17 school year. Well, that's that many more kids that left our districts, and aren't playing football on our teams and making, kids want to come here. I think the tech school is awesome. My son goes there. He's in the electrical program. He's a senior this year. I think it's good for kids that want to do that. I always am concerned with the kids that go. I know of two kids in my daughter's class. She's 8th grade at Mohawk Trail this year. And two of her friends are going to the tech school because a third friend is going, and they think, I'll probably do cosmetology or something. They don't want to be in cosmetology. They just want to go to the tech school to follow other kids. So I always have kind of that internal battle going on of, get the right kids to go to the school, get the kids, that are going to benefit from the skills they're going to learn versus just following other kids for a sport or because their friend is going to go into plumbing and all right, I'll pick something. So I only have to go to school half the time. That's a whole other argument though. I'll let other people talk.
Are there
So
other
I,
Go ahead.
so I also spoke with Liz Bouchard at the tech school too. I didn't go the avenue Jason went, and thank God I would have gotten lost there. But I was trying to figure out more of the costs for the build versus, given the information that we've been given so far. That's all I could work from. So I was trying to get more numbers on the repair side because at that meeting at the tech school, they really just talked about building. And so I started asking those questions, and Liz had shared with me that once it was determined that that the way to go was to build the new school as opposed to repair, they stopped even accumulating or further analyzing costs for the individual towns, because they had a different course they chose to take. However, she did say, and after she said it, I'm like, well, that makes perfect sense. Probably should have thought of it ourselves. But she said, so the costs to build the new school based on the numbers that they've given us so far after reimbursement to the towns are 113.8, I think. Costs to repair are 126. So the repairs are coming in based on what we've been given so far higher than the cost to build. And she said, since they haven't analyzed the numbers for repair any further than they did in what was that, phase 1 of the study, phase 2, whatever it was. Anyways, she said, basically, if you take the costs that they've estimated for the individual towns, you can assume that it'll be no less, which is an obvious assumption, and we could even figure it out probably a little closer given the difference in the percentage, but it will be no less than the 243 per year for 30 years. And that's at the apportionment of 3.17% for Shelburne, which she also shared that number is already changed to 3.3. So that's going up as well. So that's kind of all I was able to get in terms of that. They stopped looking at breaking the cost down per town for the repair when they determined to go the build route. And so they didn't have that data to share with us either.
So, can you all clarify? I don't know, was it you or the tech school who sent us these two charts that are in our meeting packet? The reason I'm looking at them sideways because they're horizontal. The spreadsheets are presented in that fashion. Um, One of the charts says FCTS share a proposed project by a member town. The other says that, and then in the second line it says with legislators by town. Um, can somebody walk through what those two charts are?
We don't have those, so
I think
I
that
don't
might
know.
be, is that from Buckland's? Because
Yes.
Buckland did a deeper
Oh,
dive
okay.
spreadsheet.
Okay.
Is that the Buckland spreadsheet?
The Buckland.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Terry, can you clarify what is the difference with the one that says with legislators and the one that doesn't?
No, I cannot. Larry Langford created these spreadsheets, and Buckland's town administrator forwarded them on, thinking it would be beneficial to this evening's conversation.
Yeah, it would be beneficial if we knew a little bit more about what the difference is between these two charts, why the numbers vary as they do. One of them says that that the overall borrowing cost is 221 million for the towns, with Shelburne's share being um 233,540 a year for 30 years. And the other one says that Shelburne's share is 474,675, I think. One,
So
two.
no, that's orange.
Oh, sorry. One, two,
One
one,
forty eight
two.
eight
Sorry,
seventy.
148, 140,443. So how did we get from 140 to 230 is the question, I guess. Or one of the questions. Um,
That might be a good question for Larry since he prepared it. I don't know.
Maybe since we have some tech school folks here, we can ask them uh, to clarify what their chart says if it's different than either one of these.
I'm
Yeah.
I can speak up first. I'm not sure what chart you have that says the 144, did you say? That doesn't sound like it.
140,000, one, two, sorry. Where am I? Oh yeah.
Is he projecting that legislation will increase? Are we,
148,870 is on one chart
I'm not sure where those figures came from.
as Shelburne's share.
Is that the one that states legislation on it?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the one that says with legislators by town.
I'm unsure. I shared with Terry what Shelburne's debt projections look like for Shelburne.
And what is that?
Pretty much about 243,000 during the majority of the funding
Okay.
annually.
And what is our current average student send per year for Shelburne students going to the tech school?
There's 11 there currently.
11. And on a 5-year average, what are we averaging?
I know next year you're projected to have 10.
Okay. So
But the
so
two,
we're talking so if we stick in that range, we're talking about adding upwards of $20,000 per student for the next 30 years in terms and our current average student cost for the tech school to send Terry is what?
I don't have my budget book in front of me. Liz would probably be better to answer that.
Okay. Sorry, go
Yes.
ahead, Liz.
19,872.
Okay. So in rough terms, then we're talking about a cost per student to send to the tech school of about 40,000. Am I in the right ballpark?
You are,
Okay.
with capital
Um,
assessment combined with operating.
yeah. So that sort of brings me back to the mission and scale and vision numbers, in terms of if we start with that cost per student of 40,000 plus compared to what we would pay to send somebody to Mohawk, then that does beg the question of how big a school should we have and what purpose is it serving? And it seems to me that the main selling point of a new school is that in this era where AI is crashing down on us and college is called into question, the trades are getting their moment in the sun. And a reliable high wage occupations to help our children move forward more securely into a pretty uncertain future. But that argument works for the trades in particular, aviation, electrical, plumbing, automotive, those kinds of things, where there isn't a need for capital intensive and equipment intensive shops that can't be easily replicated at regular public schools. And so I guess what I would want to see the tech school focus on is to say, what are those high wage occupations that you are specifically preparing students for, and how well are you doing at that? And what are the other occupations that might be better served by free community college? So, for example, a CNA program, if you got a whole pre-health tech program going on at the tech school, but a student graduating from Mohawk can go do that for free in 6 months at a community college right after they graduate. Do you really need to spend $40,000 a student for 4 years for those kinds of programs? So that's where my concern and critique comes into a 600 and something person school is, are all 600 of those students aimed at high wage and capital intensive trade occupations? Or is there a significant number of them who are not? And even within the programs that are high wage and capital intensive, how many of those students who go into those programs are actually going out on co-op in their senior year? The reason I ask this question is that I spent 8 years at the tech school, and I am, like Jason, a supporter of the tech school, helping GCC run an adult machining program at the tech school in the evenings, using that high capital intensive, equipment intensive shop. But being there, I learned that there was not a huge um, output of students graduating from the machining program and going into machining. Whereas in the adult program that I helped run, we were getting 3/4 of them into employment after a much shorter, semester-long training. So that's my real experience at the tech school. And when you're talking about $40,000 a student, you have to really sharpen your pencil and ask those questions about what outcomes are you aiming at and how are you doing with them? Because, like Jason, I'm looking at, for both equity and cost reasons and performance reasons, a smaller tech school if we go the new construction route. So that's my 2 cents on the tech school building program. But tell me if you all have come up with a different case analysis of that of those issues.
Hi, Andrew. I'm Ryan Regi. I've recently had the privilege of being appointed superintendent at Franklin County Tech, and appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. You raise a great point. I think we always have to be evaluating our programming, looking at workforce development, working with the workforce boards. We review job opportunities with the Department of Education as well when we're looking at starting new programs and assessing current programs. And that's something that we need to continue to do throughout the year to make sure that we have programs where students are entering the workforce into high wage, high skill jobs, and also make sure that we're preparing them with the skills they need and that employers are looking for. To your point about students being able to maybe get a CNA at GCC or at any of the community colleges, and I'm a big supporter of community college, having graduated from Holyoke Community College myself. I think when you look at the state standards that the Department of Education puts together for these programs, and you look at the medical assisting or health assisting programs that vocational schools offer, when you're talking about a Chapter 74 approved program, which are the only ones that we offer here at Tech, those programs are really very rigorous. I think it would be hard to compare our 4-year health assisting program and all of the other credentials that our students are getting, their Alzheimer's certification and several others as well as their CNA. Some students getting CNA as well as medical assisting certification. I think it's hard to compare that to just going to a CNA program. I'm of course biased, and I think we have great programming here. But to your point about evaluating programming, that's something that we have to be constantly doing and making sure that we're preparing students for high wage jobs so they can be successful when they leave tech. I will say that it's my understanding that Franklin County Tech has the highest rate of graduating seniors that go directly into the workforce in their fields of all of the regional vocational technical schools in the state. So I think there's something to be said for that.
Well, thank you, Ryan, and congratulations on your appointment as superintendent,
Thank you.
and for graduating from Holyoke Community College. And full disclosure, I currently work at Holyoke Community College in workforce development, and
Oh, that's fantastic.
so I observe closely what's available at community colleges. HCC actually has a medical assisting program where a student can enter as an employee of Bay State while they study for a grant-funded free medical assistant certification. So again, that's my point, is we need to look closely at what we are putting in place at $40,000 a student at the high school level and ask ourselves, given all these other changes that we're making at the community college level, wouldn't a student be doing as well or better at far less cost to graduate from a traditional public school and then go do one of those workforce training programs where they get employed?
Fair question, and I don't know enough about the specific program you're citing to really comment on it.
Well, it's a year-long program where they do their academic study uh, and get paid as incoming employees of Bay State.
Can I ask a
Just to
question?
report out our numbers, about 130 students go out on co-op annually by the end of when juniors hit their halfway point, second semester. So we have about an average of 130 students. And then Ryan had spoken to our students that declare their intention to go to work upon graduation, and we rank the highest at 65 to 68% through the Commonwealth.
Okay. So 130 is juniors and seniors.
Correct.
Okay. So that's roughly half the class is going out on co-op.
So juniors can go out second half of the second semester of their junior year, right? Correct, Ryan?
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question that it was the end of both of your comments. I wanted to asking about, I actually have the chart of like how you rank compared to other schools going, kids going to work after graduation. And the way Ryan said it was, you said in their fields. And that was my question. This just says intend to go to work. Is it in their field, or is it that they're just going to work after high school? Because I left that meeting with this chart saying, okay, 65% are going to work. Does that mean they're doing cosmetology, or they're doing electric, or they're doing plumbing, or are they just going to work instead of college? Either of you know if it's just work?
So
go ahead, Ryan.
I'm sorry. My understanding was that was in their fields, but I may have misspoken on that. Liz, did you have?
The report itself definitely just says declare their intention to work. It does not say in their respective trade. So I'm not sure how that's reported out through Perkins or through, I'm not sure, Ryan, if it's their actual trade.
Because that would be impressive if 65% went into their trade. It still may be impressive that they go to work, but I wonder how many, yeah. I had that concern going into this meeting, and you both hit on it, so it was a great time to ask that question. I guess we still don't have the answer, but
I can certainly look into that and get back to you on it.
Well, again, I would just note that the program that I ran with GCC was placing over 75% of students. Those were adult students in the evening program, uh, in the machining program. So again, call it, people graduating from high school got a lot of living to do and a lot of things to figure out. It's the people who come back, after they've made a few mistakes or, you know, done one thing and then decided to do another thing, in their mid 20s to mid 30s, who are much more focused on employment at that point in their lives. And so I think the adult ed programs at the tech school are, I think, a major selling point for maximizing the utility of your shops and achieving real employment outcomes for the work, the employer base in our region. But I need to be persuaded that the same is true for high school students in high wage occupations, in those shops in order to justify a 600 plus school building. That's the thing I'm coming back to. The other question I have for you, since you're here and I've heard different things about it, is why are we voting on October 6th on this project? Can you explain that to me? Because we got 3 to 4 weeks to go before there's a general election that's already paid for, that we could put this question to a much, much higher percentage of the voters than are going to turn out on October 6th.
So that was decided by our building task force, finance committee, and school committee collectively to select that date and that time for the regional vote.
So that was it. It was just they picked a date and decided we're going to have our own election and pay for it.
There is
Yeah,
some
basically
MSBA
they looked at the pros and cons of all different situations and decided it would be best to host it on that day.
Because when I look at
just
that,
to weigh
sorry,
in
go
on
ahead,
that.
Ryan.
Well, this is Tim Alex with Colliers. Just there is an MSBA window that the MSBA has a limited window from when the board approves a project to have the local funding vote. So that ties into that as well.
But
We
does
had
that
to ask for an
prevent?
extension. We had to ask for an extension on this one because we had some issues about going through a MISA endangered species review, and so we wanted to make sure that was beyond us before we could have the vote.
Thank you
But
for that.
there's no jeopardy that you're in if you were to delay until November 3rd.
As far as the MISA, the issue with the endangered species,
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
there was not an impact once the endangered species issue had been resolved. There's still some paperwork to be submitted on that to finalize that, but that is no longer an issue.
I mean, the concern I have is sort of basic democracy here, that to me as a select board member, scheduling this vote on October 6th is equivalent to us putting the school budget on a special town meeting vote when, 9% of the voters or less show up. And there would be people with pitchforks at our meeting if we did that. And so it just seems to me that if we're talking about adding, 20,000 plus per student cost to our sending students to the tech school, that's not something we should do at a special town meeting. We should ask all the voters at the annual town meeting, or even better, at a general election when you get an 80% turnout, what they think about that. Rick.
I totally agree with that. Sorry, Rick.
So I didn't hear an answer. Can this be done November 3rd? within that window? You said something
And
about an
that would
extension.
be two. I mean, we would have to ask and for another extension because we've already asked it because we had 120 days from project scope and budget agreement approval. And so we've already exceeded that time as of October 6th.
So you've got one extension and you don't feel like you want to ask for another?
I don't know that at this point they would even allow it, Tim. I'm not Are you aware, Tim, if they would allow another extension?
No, I think the MSBA always wants to try and work with the communities and the different districts. Everybody has some nuance that they're trying to work around. The MSBA is a funding organization, and they're trying to just distribute the funds of the Commonwealth in an equal and fair way. So they do have certain guidelines that they require everybody to follow so that everybody's, going along in the same path. Certainly, it's something that could be brought up to the MSBA and explain the situation and see what their feedback would be. But I don't think that they would stand in the way without a reasonable evaluation and response.
Well, I guess as one select board member in one of your 19 towns, I would strongly urge you to go back to the MSBA and say, hey, we're celebrating the 250th anniversary of our democracy. Why are we holding a special election on a major financial question for our voters and taxpayers when we could be asking all of them to vote just a month later?
And we can present that to our committees as well, who voted on this date and time.
Great. I hope you will, because that to me is not how we should be making this decision.
I would agree with you, Andrew, on that 100%. And if you haven't asked, why not? What does it hurt to ask? The immediate response when you folks announced October 6th by every town clerk in the area was, are you kidding me?
I know. I fielded a lot of those calls.
You do realize that we're all pushing. Buckland had an override. Everybody's pushing budget, and running an election on October 6th is not free. So,
and as much as the school is paying for it, we fund the schools. So in a way, we're paying for the extra election because it's going to come out of operating somewhere, unless you have a grant to have it done. But that was a huge concern of mine. That like right off the bat, that sort of left me with a bad taste in my mouth. It felt like it was a little planned, and I'm totally be wrong, but I left feeling like there is no reason. And I actually liked Tim's answer about extensions and some wildlife thing. I wish I had heard that before, and I wouldn't have felt this way as much earlier. But I really was feeling like there was some agenda with the October 6th scenario, is they wanted low turnout. I'm always looking for the devil's advocate. I like the tech school. My kid goes there. I want to support it, but when I see stuff, like my MSBA concerns and questions, Tim's the one that answered my question at the meeting, and I left that meeting having been a school committee member for 10 years prior to this. I was pretty sure some of those costs could have been covered by MSBA, and the way Tim answered it was no. And in re-listening to it, I even have a transcript of it. He never lied, but it was a little misleading how you answered me about schools that were overcrowded, and that the MSBA doesn't want to sink money into been accepted into this program. So I kind of left there with a couple bad feelings about things. I ended up doing the research on the MSBA and finding there was some middle ground there where I thought more stuff could fall under that, window under that than I expected. So I was glad to see that, okay, it's not like the 105, they're going to pay half of that cost. But the October 6th thing, even the school graduates going to work, all of it feels a little salesy to me. And I left that meeting and talked to at least 6 other people that were at the meeting and got impressions that everybody felt certain ways about things that were said, and they turned out to be slightly different, not quite that way. So
I think certainly everybody will take away their own impressions. Everyone's individual and they'll have their different perspectives. Certainly, my purpose of being there is no way to try and convince anybody of anything, just to provide information and let people take it for what they will. If it came across a certain way, or you felt it came across a certain way as a sales job, that's one reason why I try and stay away from the sales part of this, because I'm a hired gun, so to speak. So that's not my role. My role is just to provide you, to try and provide simple answers to complicated questions. And the reimbursement rate, it would be really easy if MSBA said, hey, you're a 65% community and you end up with 65% in the end. It doesn't work that way. It is more nuanced than that.
Yeah.
And you're trying to kind of provide that information without bogging everybody down, and then they'll think that you're trying to baffle them with jargon, and that's not really the case. So if there are any other questions or something that maybe you didn't feel was clear, I'd be happy to restate or look something up or provide additional information. That's my role. The MSBA process, an OPM is required by the state for a reason, because these things are complicated. And usually a school or a district doesn't have somebody on staff that isn't busy doing something else to try and manage a construction project.
Well, let me re-ask you the question, knowing what I know now and understanding where you were coming from. I mean, it's got my scribbles all over it, but I have the screenshot that talks about renovation, roof replacement, 17 million, electrical, 32 million. It's right from your PowerPoint that night. There's in writing right below, it says is not eligible for MSBA reimbursement. But for at least the last 5 or 6 years I looked at, roof projects were on there, roofing, windows, doors, boilers, if you go back to 2022 or something. And I assume that changes here and there. So this feels misleading to me. Is not eligible. Well, at least the roof part, I would guess, would be if this, and I know it's not eligible right now because you're in the core program. You can't apply for this until you say yes or no to the core program. But if you said no, then this is not a true statement, right? Some of this might fall under MSBA money.
Yeah. So currently, right now, the question at hand is a new building.
Yeah.
And so because you didn't say, hey, look, we want to do a repair. We just want to repair this building. What we're going to do is we're going to cut out programs to make the numbers of students fit in the building that we have. We're not going to make it any bigger. We're just going to fix it. Then you could have gone to the MSBA and made the case that in a repair or in a code upgrade meets the needs of your program. The MSBA is about building a building that meets the program, not altering the program to meet the building, which you're talking about bigger changes down the road, maybe as far as, assessing programs that you have. But essentially with what we had now, the building committee chose an option that was more than the base repair. It was a renovation, looking at those numbers. But you're right. There could be a potential scenario down the road where you could get a re-roof. You could get a percentage of roofing covered. But that's not really the question at hand right now.
No, it's not. Yeah.
I
just-
have
So
one
what,
other
what
one
the
other
steps that would be to go forward to make that possible, you would have to either withdraw from the MSBA's program, core program. The project could get voted down and just die a natural death. And then reapply with a statement of interest to the MSBA going forward. Go through that process, get reinvited back into the program, and go through the feasibility and schematic design process, which we've been doing for the past couple of years. It would be at your cost to do that, no reimbursement for that. There would not be an option to get any reimbursement for that, because you've done it once. The MSBA has paid for it once, essentially, is what they're saying. And then provide a scope that makes sense from a programmatic perspective, a architectural perspective, and convince the MSBA that that's the appropriate way to go, and that's the district has a plan to do that. So it's a long and involved answer, but that's essentially the pathway to getting potentially a roof or a geothermal, type of heating system. They've gone away from boilers. They go to heat pumps now, and the windows have already been done.
So if
Those
I'm
are
hearing you
typical
correctly,
accelerated repair programs.
I'm trying to get to, what October 6th, if that is in fact our date, or maybe November 3rd, and the voters vote, and if you don't get enough of them to go forward, then this project dies. But if I heard you correctly, there are two pathways then going forward. One would be to do what Jason's describing and apply for the various grants and things available to piecemeal renovate the existing building, or to reapply to the new construction program with perhaps a smaller building for maybe 400 to 450 students or something. And if that were to be approved, then you would start admitting a smaller and perhaps more highly vetted class of students to get to that cohort size when construction was completed.
Yeah, typically, if a district was to fail in a vote and try to go get back in line, start from the beginning again, there's typically a wait of a number of years, and typically there's a major reduction in scope in what they were trying to do. A lot of times, not for a technical school, but for maybe middle, high schools, or elementary and middle, they'll come to a consolidation or grade reconfiguration or something like that. Very much changing the scope of what the project was that originally failed. And most of the time, a significant reduction in the cost, at least the target. The costs are just going up, as you've seen from the MSBA's cost chart over the year.
In talking to the project manager at the MSBA, she said if it was to fail in October or November, they can potentially ask for an extension. They can't change the scope of the project. They still have to go with the 8A plan, but they could bring it to vote next year, with a re-education of the towns or whatever. They potentially could revote the exact same project, but if it fails at that point, or if they choose not to go down that path, it is you're applying new. You're out of the program, you're applying new. My repair concern, especially like with the roof, is the accelerated repair program, which is not nearly as detailed. We did it at Mohawk Trail for the boiler. And that's a much quicker turnaround. I'm sort of guessing, but from memory, like a 3 to 6 months. Okay, you apply for it, pretty quickly whether or not you're accepted in, and maybe half the roof gets paid for, or if some other portions of this, if you do heat pumps, that is one of the things that's on for this year. Well, it's 2025, so I didn't see it 2026, but they're pushing the heat pumps, windows, doors, And roofing has been there kind of right throughout. So if it was to fail, there's the option for them to pursue an extension and a revote of the exact same program, but they
It's
can't
usually a
drop
very
down to the
short
small.
extension.
Yeah, okay. She made it sound like
Yeah.
a year, like you could do the next year's vote. You could bring it back a year later after,
No, it's within,
yeah. And then once
it's a
you're
very
out,
short window with a rationale explaining exactly why it failed, a certain
yes.
reason that is,
She did say you have to
um,
have some reason for the revote. Now I've educated them this way, and now there's a reason for a vote.
yeah.
Not just we
Yeah,
failed. and-
if you did do that, usually the accelerated repairs they put out a request. They have a window of opportunity to apply for them around the first of the year. They kind of decide, invite people into the programs. The MSBA will start kind of announcing who they've chosen as your OPM and your design team. Some of them, the earlier you get it, the better. If they come out in March or April, you're not going to be able to then get approval at a May vote to authorize funding. You still have to go through this feasibility stage first, or at least a schematic design level first. So it could be another 2 years or 3 years from when you get invited before you actually get that roof.
Ours was much quicker. Maybe we hit the timing right.
It can
If we
be.
knew
For
in
instance,
December we needed a boiler, maybe we hit that application window and got approved quickly. But yeah, I mean,
yeah, you can talk to your neighbors in Irving. They're in the process of doing a roof and they have that issue now. So they just got invited in, but there's no way to really get a vote until next May. And then after that, then you have to do the full detailed design, which is going to bring you into the fall. So you really can't, you won't be able to get it done until the summer of 2028.
So are there anybody else, Rick, Rod, other finance committee members who have questions for the tech school representatives that are here today?
No.
I have nothing.
All set? Good. Well, I want to really thank you, all three of you, for taking time to attend our meeting and for addressing some of the issues and questions we have put forward. And I hope you will take our input back with you to the tech school board. And I would personally love to see a vote in November for this on this question, where we can get a much wider read from the voting and tax-paying public. But I thank you again for taking time to be with us.
Thank you, Andrew. We appreciate the opportunity to be here, and we understand that a project of this scope with these types of financial impacts, deserve questions and scrutiny, and we want to be as transparent as we possibly can. So, if there's any additional information that we can get for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. Happy to share, or happy to join another meeting as well.
Great. Well, we will follow up with questions we have, and we'll look forward to hearing what results come from the input that you are taking in at these kinds of meetings.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
All righty.
Take care.
Finance Committee, are you all set, or do you have more things you want to talk about?
I think we're done. We're good. We're good.
Great. Well,
Thanks to them for digging in, Jason. Good job to give us more background than we had for sure. So I know Andrew requested you guys look into it, and you sure did a heck of a job doing that. Thank you.
I'll also say just to you guys, I may have some more info. I've been trying to meet with Buckland because I know Larry has been big into this, and he had some medical stuff going on, and I still want to meet with them and kind of get their sense also. I know he's put I put a few hours in, but I think he's put a lot of time in making those spreadsheets and stuff. And if I get some more info, I'll try to pass that along to you guys.
great. Thank you, Jason. All right. Well, thank you all, and we'll close this part of our meeting and move on to old business. The Pocket Park, are there any new updates from Johanna or otherwise?
No,
No?
no,
Still in a waiting game.
yes.
All right. Well, we will check back in August. Is there any further action you want me to take, Terry, or is
No,
no? Okay. Well, we'll just hope they get us on their list and get it
I will
done.
follow up with her this week.
Okay. Great. All right. Thank you. Disposition of town-owned tax title properties. We have some information in our packet uh, from one company. Is this the only proposal that we have at this point?
Yes, it is. There were two that were recommended to us by other town administrators who have done tax title auctions and our own tax title attorney. The second of the two has withdrawn based on the inventory available, their cost expenses, et cetera. So they have withdrawn their proposal. The second one that you have in your packet with a very extensive overview is Sullivan Auctioneers. I forget, they've done like 80 some odd municipal auctions. The comprehensive packet, I think, tells you everything you need to know, that basically it costs the town nothing. They do all the work, they do the auction, they have a buyer's fee that they use to get paid. And they're ready to move forward and get the legwork started. The suggestion has been right along that the fall might be a perfect time for the auction. So in that packet is the proposal, which including any discussion you want to have on it tonight. I would be looking to make a motion to authorize our treasurer to go ahead and sign that agreement with Sullivan Auctioneers to get this ball rolling and start to get some detail information that they will collect on the properties, estimated values, et cetera.
Terry, do we have any impediment to heading in the direction Rick is proposing in terms of having only one bidder before us, essentially?
No. What Angel will do is document the other companies that she reached out to and whether or not they responded or expressed interest, and that will cover us.
Okay. Was that a motion you made, or are you about to make one, Rick?
I thought it was a motion I made, but
I'll second that motion.
Okay. The motion to proceed with the proposal offered by Sullivan and Sullivan Auctioneers has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? I guess I have a few questions, but I don't know if these need to be answered this evening or not. But Rick, when you look at this proposal, is that 5,000 minimum per property as I'm sorry, $5,000 deposit for bidders? Is that per property or just a $5,000 deposit?
I don't know if it is per property, but I also heard that they will take into account the projected value of each parcel. So I think it's on each parcel. I've been to one or two municipal auctions, actually in Greenfield, to look at investment properties, and you show up with that $5,000 check, and if you bid and you're successful, you hand it to them. If you're not, you go away. But these are all the things that they will flesh out for us when they actually do the inventory of the properties that we have, put their estimated values in. They do all the legwork with the assessors to get property description, lot lines and all that, and they'll come back with their recommendations. So that is not a hard and fast number as I understand it.
So if we accept them as as our contractor, then they go and do that work and bring us a proposal, and then at that point we hash out whether there's what the minimum bid price is and how this $5,000 thing works and whether it's for one property or all the properties or those kind of things get worked out at that meeting.
Correct. Because right now it's all they've seen is basically, I think, the graph that we have seen and reviewed, the Excel sheet that we have with the properties listed. So they haven't done any legwork yet. They said
Okay.
this is how we work in general. Here's our contract. And we'll get started when you are ready.
Okay.
And they were very responsive, very polite. The feedback I got was that they were eager to please, and I think they put together a very comprehensive proposal of how they normally work.
Yeah. Good. All right. Those are my preliminary questions. Anybody else have questions?
No.
Hearing none, we'll bring the matter to a vote. All in favor, Rod?
Aye.
Rick?
Aye.
Andrew is a no, and the vote carries. And so now we are on to the Advanced Energy Group proposal for lighting at 623 Mohawk Trail. Didn't we already address this?
That's a moot point.
Yes.
Okay. And the last one in old business is the Memorial Hall lease. Were any news back from Donna, or is she still reviewing it?
Nothing back from Donna yet.
Okay, so we'll wait on that one. New business. We have two from Joe Judd regarding, the first one is regarding appointment of election workers in 2026. Is Joe with us?
No, he is not.
Okay. And what action is he asking us to take any action tonight?
He's presented a list of the election workers that he wishes to employ this year, and he's asking the select board to appoint them as election officials for the town of Shelburne.
Okay.
I have a question on that.
Go ahead.
So in your packet, you have the 2026 appointed election worker chart, and it has 27 names, all are very familiar. However, the addition of the last one, item 27, Rick Grant, election work support. He lives on Franklin Street in Buckland. He, in my opinion, cannot be appointed an election worker for the town of Shelburne. The desire, according to our town clerk, was to have someone, as he named that position, election work support, meaning helping Joe get the excuse me, the voting booths upstairs, setting up the tables, breaking it down, etc. Basically, manual labor. This has historically been done by our highway department, the same as they have done with setting up our annual town meeting tables and chairs and the like. So I think he can, if Rick Grant's available, to be a
support worker,
a manual laborer for Joe to
right.
set up and break down, that he can hire him under the pre-existing relationship we have with Rick Grant from when he was doing lawn, snow removal and so on. So I don't think taking him off of this list prohibits him from helping Joe when Joe feels he needs to hire someone to help. So I would suggest we remove item 27 before we vote to approve the previous list.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rick. And another way to slice it, if you all think, or Terry thinks this is useful, is to appoint the 26 Shelburne election workers and have a separate motion appointing Rick Grant as a maintenance support worker for, if that's helpful. Otherwise, as you say, he could just hire him.
He's already that really though, because he fills in at the transfer station, right?
He is resigned from all positions in the town.
Oh, that one. Then that's a great idea, Andrew.
Does that work, Terry, for us to separately appoint him as a maintenance support worker, or do we not even need to do that?
You don't need to do that. Joe could just bring forth a proposal to hire him on a part-time basis as needed if Rick's in agreement with that.
Okay, then I think we should just go that way, and I would entertain a motion on the 26th.
So moved.
And I will second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to appoint the first 26 Shelburne residents who have come forward to work as appointed election workers. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will call the matter to a vote. All in favor, Rick?
Aye.
Rod?
Aye.
Andrew is aye, and the motion carries unanimously. Good. So now our second item from Joe is to vote to authorize early in-person voting hours. Let's see.
I can read them for you if you'd like.
I've got here early voting in person will be held on the following days and business hours in Shelburne at the Shelburne Town Hall. Saturday the 22nd, 11 to 3, Monday the 24th, 1 to 4, Tuesday the 25th, 11 to 3, Thursday the 27th, 1 to 4, Friday the 28th, 11 to 3. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will vote. All in favor, Rod?
Aye.
Rick?
Aye.
Andrew is aye, and the motion carries unanimously. And now we are on to the mileage reimbursement rates, gone up to 76 cents a mile. Do we need a motion on this and a vote, Terry?
Our policies are our policies. We don't update them to coincide with federal law updates. So I just wanted the board to know that the town is currently at 70 cents. If they wish to bump it to the federal rate of 76 cents per mile, this is your opportunity.
And Terry is, what do we generally reimburse mileage for? Like how much are we spending?
Our accountant and treasurer collector attend school every year at UMass. It's a week long, and they're traditionally, those two and the assessors are probably the three employees that submit for mileage reimbursement.
And do you have a recommendation on whether we should go where we are or the federal rate?
Given the gas prices and the fact that they're using their own vehicle, I mean, highway employees use highway vehicles when they travel. The police use police vehicles. So I think would be fair to be consistent with the federal update.
Okay.
I think it's interesting to note that the current rate of 70 cents was from 2024. And it has radically changed.
Yes.
I would support a motion if you need it to increase to the current standard of 76 cents per mile as a mileage reimbursement for the town of Shelburne.
I'll accept that as a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, Rick?
Aye.
Rod?
Aye.
Andrew is aye, and the motion carries unanimously. Our next scheduled meeting is August 10th. We're in any other business. The Arms Library lift installation is complete with a state inspection scheduled. Anything more on that, Terry?
They did pass their elevator inspection, so the lift is up and running.
Fantastic.
Terrific.
And do we have any other business?
We do have one item.
But Jeff has got a hand raised as well.
Okay, I'll go ahead, Jeff.
Just a quick thing. I was approached from a new resident on Warren Court that she would be interested in having her street light removed. And Eversource is right now going through doing all these polls. So we just I'm going to look into it. She's talked to all her neighbors and they're fine with it. It's a dead end street and it's basically facing her house. So it's pretty much lighting up her house a lot. I can try and shield it too. So I'm going to go talk to her, but I was just wondering what the process, like if we wanted to remove it, I might be able to have Eversource just not move it to the new pole. So it would be there'd be no cost for Eversource or us, basically to do that. But I think I have to still go through a formal process to have you guys approve removing it or something, but we can do it at another meeting. I just wanted to bring it up in case Eversource comes through that we might.
Harry, do you have information about decommissioning lights?
Typically, we would hold a public hearing, but I did view the light at 10 Warren Court, and it is a dead-end street. It's only serving that individual's driveway,
Right.
and everyone else on the street is saying
It's
they
fine
have
with
no
it.
use for it. So it seems to make sense if Eversource is replacing the pole, they should just take the light down. It's
Yep.
not like it's at an intersection and a matter of public safety.
Right. We can get it removed from our list too, so it'll actually save the town a few bucks, but not much.
I suggested moving it out to the end of the street, but there is another light there, so it
Yeah,
wouldn't
there is one at the
serve.
end as well, so it would be redundant pretty much to move it. So it'll be really dark. I did try and warn her that it will be dark.
Well,
But that
it sounds like it's, functionally almost like a private way then,
it is. It really
Um,
is. And it's actually a light that the street light committee originally proposed possibly taking that one down, but at that time it was a different owner and he liked it. So I'm fine with whatever. Either
Well,
way.
unless my fellow board members have a different approach, I would accept a motion to, expedite the removal since it seems like there's agreement all around about that, and it's not, but I would also say that I think if we don't already, we should have a protocol we can easily roll out if there are other decommissioning requests so that because I think both having written agreement from whoever's in the light field um, and also from our police chief, about public safety issues would be, in my view, would covering the bases as far as that and maybe other things. Those are the only things I can think of, but does that exist, Terry?
If it were a public way, we would have a public hearing because it impacts so many people. It impacts crosswalks, walkers, bicyclists at night. Where this is a dead-end street, I don't see a need for that. But we do have a template for when we typically would go to shut off. There would be a
Okay.
public hearing where people could weigh in at that
Okay.
time.
Okay, good. So we have a process then that we can
Yes.
activate. And do you all, Rick and Rod, do you want to activate that process or do you want to just go with what we got here?
I would be in support of going with what we've got in this case. It sounds like it only illuminates her driveway at the end of a dead end street. Well, we don't need the expense of a public hearing since I don't think it rises to the level of requiring it personally.
Mhm.
I
Rod?
feel the same way Rick does.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion to authorize Jeff as our lighting task force chair to expedite
Whatever
the
it is.
removal of this light. Is that what we're doing here?
I think so.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, we will vote. Rick,
Aye.
Rod,
Aye.
Andrew is aye, and you're on it, Jeff.
I'm on it.
Thank you.
One more down.
All right. Good. I think is there another other business?
Yes.
Go for it.
Last year in February, I had received notice from the building inspection program and our local fire chief that any establishment serving alcohol on premise needed to undergo an annual inspection. There was one establishment who had yet to schedule. He had assured me that he would take care of it, and then the establishment closed. Since that time and in recent weeks, the establishment is reopened, and it's come to my attention that the individual still needs to undergo fire inspection, building inspection, health agent inspection. And so in conversations with each of those departments today, it was suggested that the board send the establishment a letter allowing them 2 weeks to schedule and execute those inspections. And then the other remaining pieces that would need to be taken care of is a change in the name. So it would be a change in the business certificate and on the alcoholic beverage license. And I think if we were to allow the establishment 30 days to take care of working with the state on the liquor license name change, that would be a fair and reasonable request. So my recommendation is that we send the establishment a letter giving them 2 weeks to execute the 3 inspections that are necessary for the health and safety of the business and their patrons, and then a total of 30 days to go forth with the name change on the liquor license.
Terry, wasn't it 4 items, or 5 items rather?
There were a total of 6, but some of them, some of them are like pre-inspection tasks, allowing the individual time to do his own pre-check and
That's
then schedule.
what they do. Okay. So I
Yes.
would support, I would
So
make.
Rick, just before you jump in there, I just wanted to say I do support the recommendation you're making, Terry. I did meet with the owner of the establishment today, and he said he's got those things in process. So that was encouraging, and he has already installed the Ansel fire suppression hood over his stove. So he has made some substantial progress in meeting the some of those requirements. So yeah, I would entertain a motion to uh, essentially grant the timeline that Terry's recommended.
Which would be 2 weeks on the fire, building, and Board of Health, and 30 days for the business certificate name change and the name change with the ABCC.
Correct.
I have one question. Does this mean he can't open until everything's done?
No, we would allow the business to continue providing the first 3 items which affect public and health
Okay.
matters, that they be accomplished in 2 weeks.
Okay, perfect. That's was going to be my next question.
Any other questions? Hearing none, is that a motion, Rick, from you?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second it then.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, Rod?
Aye.
Rick?
Aye.
Andrew is aye, and the motion carries.
Thank you.
And is that it, Terry, or do we have any more?
We just have correspondence items.
Yeah. So we've got Mass DOT on Bardwell's Ferry Bridge concerns. Oh, yes. Is that something we need to take action on, Terry?
No action. Mass DOT will be coming out to both the Shelburne and Conway side of the bridge and affixing the barricades so that they can't be moved. And they're also going to be coming up with cautionary language, informing all modes of transportation that the bridge is closed and unsafe for passage.
Great. if you have that, or when you get that letter or whatever it is, we could print that in the Two-Town News just to
Absolutely.
get people aware of that, maybe for the September issue,
Yes.
since the August issue is almost ready to go out. The second correspondence is Mass Federal Funds and Infrastructure Office Award of 30,000 Hazard Mitigation Plan update. Is that a grant that we just got?
It's a grant that our emergency management director had applied for with the board's blessing, and we were awarded the funding.
Great. Well, congrats to Tom. We are now at the public comment phase. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak? We've got Kate and Jeff and Maya. Johnny, our West County, our recorder stringer. I don't hear any comments coming forth, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Yeah, seconded.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 And we are adjourned. All right. Well, thank
you
you all.
all.
That was a informative meeting, and I personally am glad we took the time to air out the tech school discussion, but thanks for your patience on that.
Thanks.
And we will
Great.
see you on August 10th.
Perfect.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.
So.